can call in live on the air at area code 866-4366, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Of course, the area code is 3. That's 313-868-4366, 868-0342, and 868-0351. And now let's go live. Scriptural Discussion, the Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you who have the sincere hunger and thirst for Allah's truth and the understanding of His righteousness, which we call Holy Scriptures. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace, as taught to us by the author of peace. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. I want to give the opportunity to those who have what they feel is a legitimate disagreement with anything that we teach. I want you to know that we are not bigots, and we are not here to put forth knowledge to purposely break your peace. We are here to bring you knowledge that we know that if you accept that, Allah will grant forgiveness to you and grant you peace. And He even made room for you to argue. As He told me to argue with you in the best manner. That means not to get into insulting matches with you. I'm not here to hurl insults at you. I'm here to give you constructive critique on how to make yourself a better person and to remove you from the list of those whom Allah intends to destroy. So, when you hear me argue with anyone, remember the scriptures says of me, the Son of Man came not to destroy men's lives, but to save them. So even I sometimes forget that because of my humanity. Like I told you, I'm a human being too. I'm a mortal like you. And I have feelings like you do. And, it's like you when people can provoke me. to anger and that kind of thing. And the book says that of me, that I've spread out my hand all the day to a rebellious people that walk in a way that is not good. You know, after their own thoughts. People have a way of saying it in this world, say, I'm doing my thing. Yeah? So Allah, He had already said, you have 6 days to do your thing. 6,000 years to do all your thing. But the Sabbath day shall be a holy day unto the Lord. And in it, don't do your thing. Allah said, when I have made him complete and breathed into him of my spirit, stop doing your thing and submit to him. Do you understand? So, but, you know, I know it's hard to believe that a man have that kind of authority. But if you believe in the Holy Scriptures, you have to believe that. You know? So, so if you have something you want to take me to task on, this is your opportunity to do so.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Someone left a comment in response to a statement that you made this morning. You said we should unite and pool our resources and stop leaving ourselves in a position where people can mistreat us. Michelle Harrison replied, we tried that at the Million Man Marches. So
No, you didn't try that at the Million Man March. There was no attempt at unity. Even when people, that's your problem. You don't know the meaning of unity. Unity does not mean a crowd. Those people that came to that Million Man March, even the speakers up there, they wasn't in unity. They was all speaking something different, and even when they told them to go back, they didn't tell them, okay, now all of y'all join with me. Well, how many of them stood up there and said, join with me? Unity means one. Oneness. See, that's the problem. You speak a type of English, but you don't really speak English because you've never been taught the true meaning of the words that you use. If you want an example of unity, you look at your body. Your body is a unit. It's composed of many members, but all of those members are under one head, and that's what makes them act as one. If you had two heads on your body, you couldn't hardly get anything accomplished unless them two heads agree to do it. So you don't know what you're talking about. No, there was no unity at the Million Man March. Now I'll let her finish her statement. See, that's my point. When I'm speaking, unlike you, even when you are saying something that's erroneous, you will start off with saying something, and the point that you are making sometimes is error. And then you'll continue to talk based on that error. That's not the way I teach. And that's not the way communication is done. Proper communication is done with a listener and a speaker, and they are constantly switching roles, especially if that's a classroom. If the teacher says something that is unclear, or the student deems to be a mistake, the student immediately said, wait a minute, that's not, and sometimes the student is right. Then the teacher will say, oh, yeah, that's right. And they will correct it. So, wherever two or more are gathered for the discussion or for the seeking out of truth, then, it's 9 times out of 10. Falsehood won't enter into that arena for either one of them, if both are seeking truth. That's why the scripture says, wherever 2 or more gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Well, this is where you're talking about you tried that. If you had tried it, you would be doing it now. Because I tried it with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That's why I'm still doing it. Because I know that unity is what will make us successful. The Nation of Islam was a unit. You didn't go to Chicago and hear one teaching, then go to New York and hear another teaching, and go to California and hear another teaching. I don't care what Muhammad's temple you went to. You heard the same teaching. I'll tell you what. When you go to the public school system of America, you used to, when you go to the first grade, if you was in the black community, I don't know what they did in white community, but I know in the black community, we all learn the same thing. They couldn't have a school system that one state teaching one thing and the other one teaching something else. And where you going to have United States and your knowledge is disunited? So, I mean, that the United States itself is an example of unity. It was a better example years back. This is not, you're looking at the end of this. It has served its purpose. And Allah is offering you a better way now. But until the coming of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the laying the foundation for the new nation of Islam, there was a new nation brought here to this continent called the United States. As Abraham Lincoln at the Gettysburg Address, he said, 80 that's 80 years, and 7 years ago, so 87 years ago, he said, our forefathers brought forth to this continent a new nation conceived in liberty, conceived in the idea of freedom, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. That's not a, notice it says dedicated to the proposition, presenting the idea that, look, men, human beings are actually one family. We're all born ignorant, and whatever we become, we become that basically because of the knowledge that we receive. And even in the Declaration of Independence, they stated why that they were trying to break free from England and from the tyranny of the king, because he was stifling the human spirit in their people. There's always a yearning in the human being to be the best that they can be. And whenever leadership does not fix it, where the human spirit can be free to achieve its full potential, then leadership has failed. You know, up until now, America was the best opportunity for the freedom of the human mind to grow and develop itself. But what they didn't understand was that there can be no fully developed human mind that only has a natural understanding. When all you have is a natural understanding, then you are no more, you reduce yourself to the level of a thinking animal. You see. And so that is what this experience in America and its rulership of the human family, that's what it has taught us, taught me. The value. It is in growing up in this civilization that has taught me the value of the Word of God. Because where the rule and government by men falls short, the Word of God fills in and makes complete. And that's why I understand more and more now. And I accept the purpose that for which I was born. You know, as you know, when Jesus said, "I and my Father are one," that means I and my Father are in total agreement with each other. Meaning what? I agree with God, and God agrees with me to agree with Him. Do you understand? A further proof of that was when Jesus made the statement. He said, "Father, if it be possible, let this cup, don't let me have to suffer this crucifixion here. Let this pass from me." Then he put a disclaimer to himself right behind that. "Nevertheless, not my will, but thy will be done." You see? Now that's what unity is. Unity, in order for there to be unity, there has to be a head and there has to be a body that submits to that head. Now, finish reading what she had to say, and you'll see the error that followed once she mistook numbers for unity. Go read.
She says, we were told not to use the money for beer and cigarettes, but buy land. People gave no land. We are on our own. Realize that some of us are doing what is necessary.
Well, no, that's just you trying to justify not being in unity. I notice none of you never say, you never use the Nation of Islam under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's guidance as an example, because that was unity. He showed us unity. Let me refresh your faulty memory. You see, people, you know, I don't have any stomach for people who purposely overlook facts, because those facts don't go along with what they want to do or accept. No, you notice no one ever, I'm the only one that brings up what the Nation of Islam was doing under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Have you heard someone else bring it up and show you the history? Let me show you something here. You see, when you
Our beautiful black brothers and sisters who travel far and near to attend our annual Savior's Day Convention 1974 to see the greatest black man that the world has ever known, because he was taught by the greatest God. We'll show you exactly what that is for. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is going to Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam has already been set up. Carried across the ocean, the very
Now, I want you to pay good attention. Don't put the camera back on me. Just leave. They can hear me. I want you to pay good attention to what unity looks like. You see, most of you all have been taught by white people, especially now. That's why you don't want to acknowledge what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did. You hate to see a black man get the kind of recognition and honor that we gave him, because you got a brain full of white folks. If you wanted to compare it to something, you would have to compare it to leprosy. You got spiritual leprosy. And so you oppose anything that is not set up by white people. Even though you have did these things that you talking about, you all doing your thing in your own way, and you read what she said again.
She says, we tried that at the Million Man Marches.
We tried that at the Million Man Marches. Go on.
We were told not to use the money for beer.
What is it that she says she tried? She says she tried unity. That's a lie. And you tried to suggest that the Million Man March was a united, that was unity? Anyone who watched it know that wasn't unity. You can look at the way all of them people, they wasn't all there to hear one person. They was there to hear each other. And you notice, if you really thought that you were right, you wouldn't be leaving that post there. You'd be coming in here talking to me. You know, no one writes a letter when they could talk face to face. Don't nobody do that. When anyone who is sincere, they would much rather have a face-to-face conversation with you than a letter. You know, that's what this is going to anger you, what I'm about to say, but it's just the truth. I submit myself to God, and I resist the knowledge that was put in me by white people to look up only to white people and to look down on black people. And so I don't take away from whatever I gain from the knowledge that white people shared with me. I don't throw it all away, but I pick through it because his knowledge is good and evil. You can't seem to do that. That's why you needed me. You notice, I didn't have to go get no. Now, I remember these quotes from Abraham Lincoln and all of that. I remember that from being in school, in white people's school. If I didn't think it was of value, I wouldn't have held on to it. Because they show far more respect and honor to their forefathers than you have ever shown to yours. You dishonor the ones that you should show honor to, and you lift up the ones who, who you should be discarding their way. Just like the white man, he lift up Martin Luther King, but you don't never see him lift up the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to you. Why? You have to lift him up for yourself. The white man ain't trying to get you to follow a way that would make you independent of him. What's that woman's name?
Her name is Michelle Harrison.
Sister Michelle, you need to get in these classes, sister. And I don't care what you think you done been taught by white people. They haven't taught you anything that will actually benefit you. They have put a stumbling block around you. That's why you can't seem to get together with your own people to plan a future for yourself. And even when you see a man who has a plan, you try to, instead of joining with him, you try to compete with him. So you know it's sad that you're talking about we tried that at the youth. They didn't did they tell you they was taking up money to buy land with? Is that what they told you? I never heard them say that. Did you? How many of y'all heard them say that? But quote back what she said.
We were told not to use the money for beer and cigarettes, but buy land. People.
Okay, you were told to not use your money for beer and cigarettes, but to purchase property. Well, they didn't tell you that that's what they was going to do with that money you took, that they took from you. They told you to stop doing that with your money and start buying property. Now, read on.
People gave no land.
People gave. You see, you didn't listen. You even in your own words say they told you to stop spending your money on beer and cigarettes and buy property. They didn't tell you to give them the money and they were going to go buy some property for you. So I don't want you to lie on Minister Farrakhan and them preachers. They didn't tell you they was going to buy land for you with that money. Now, did they? Even in her own words, isn't that what she just said?
Yes, sir.
I told you, you don't speak English or you don't listen. And even when you do listen, you don't understand what's being said to you. That's why it's so hard for me to teach you anything. It's like here I told the believers, look, we're going to start doing our part in the city of Fayette. And you know what some of them said? Some of the people that live in Fayette with us, we can't let the Muslims outdo us. Well, what do you mean, outdo you? Why don't you help me? But now you want to start doing just out there haphazardly doing something. You didn't have no plan. Okay. All right. Just keep on. You're gonna miss your water when your well run dry. If you wanted to do anything, I mean, that's the sign that we put up there. That sign costs $4,800. How about giving me a little help on that? Was it 46 or 48? Brother, yes, it was 4800. 48. And now it's another 4,800 for what we want to do for that statue, right?
That's almost 5,000.
Huh?
That one's gonna be almost 5,000.
Well, 4,800 is almost 5,000. That's what I'm saying. She said about $4,800 for that. I mean, if you want to help, that cement cost us. We done spent over about almost $3,000 worth of cement. Not to mention the labor. Now, if you want to help, why don't you just come up, Brother Mama? Here's $50. Here's $100 to help pay for some of this stuff. Why be trying to compete? Can't nobody do nothing for you. You get mad if don't nobody try, and then when someone start doing something, you get mad. You're some crazy people. Anyway, Now, read on what she was saying.
People gave no land. We are on our own.
People gave and no land. We on our own. I told you not to go to that march in the first place. Didn't I tell him?
Yes, sir.
Don't ask me, you going to the march? I said, I don't do marches. No. Going to a march, you ain't got, well, you want to spend that money on bus fare and all that stuff to go to a march just to hear somebody talk. How many times did I ask, what do you have to show for all that marching you've been doing? How did that help us? I know I had helped the ones who put it on when I saw all them boxes of money taken up. That's why they call it the next one Millions More. Now every so often they do an anniversary. I haven't asked you to go and waste your money and give burnt offerings. That's all that's called. That's called a burnt offering. When you give and get nothing in return. The money that you put into that 3-year economic plan made that station, WHPR and Comcast, TV 33. When you gave to that, you saw the result of what you gave. It helped make that station more independent. And you saw me give the check, and whatever you couldn't, whatever we didn't get, I borrowed it and added to it to make sure that it got paid off. And then Mr. Watkins, over a period of time, we worked out where he could help me pay back that loan. We are not people who panhandle. Whatever I tell you we taking up money for, that's exactly what it's going for. Well, you know, you're making a very bad showing of yourself. I'm, you know, sometimes I look at us and I'm so ashamed of us. You know, it's sad that, you know, they talking about we on our own. In other words, forget me. Forget what you talking about, mister. Read on what she said.
Realize, and some of us are doing what is necessary.
Okay, how many times have I asked them to show me what they're doing? Talking about some of us are doing what's necessary. Only one I see doing what's necessary is me. I'm really the only one that I see that's doing what's necessary. The rest of you always trying to make money off of your people suffering. You don't care nothing about our people, you see an opportunity just like white people have learned to do. They do, but that's where they fall short. It's because they do, but they don't do because they see the need. They see that they can capitalize off of it. That's what they call this system here, a capitalist system. You go online sometime and they tell you these is foods, 5 foods that's really dangerous to you. And you go and click on there and it starts showing you a video. Now be sure and watch the whole thing. And by the end of it, they're trying to sell you something. Never an offer of help because they care for you. All they see when they see you, the average one of y'all, all you see when you see a person that's downtrodden or whatever, you see an opportunity. Like buzzards circling and watching something. They seem to know when something is dying. And he see an opportunity to eat. And he just circles and waits. And then when he finally dies, he's happy. And he goes on down there and has him a meal. Doctors are told never tell people that you're going to cure them. They're not in the curing business. They're in the healing business. Heal one thing while something else messing up. That way you'll be back. And they can make a living. A lot of them don't consciously look at it that way, but they know that's the way it is. Everybody capitalize and offer their sick brother. And that's what you so mad at me because I don't want to take part in that kind of civilization. And I'm offering you a better way. You know, and so even though I'll say one thing, even that man that come in here and call me nigger and all that kind of stuff, he more honest than a lot of other you. I know one thing, if he honest enough to tell me how much he hate me, if I could talk with him and he told me he was with me, I bet you he'd be with me. He wouldn't be grinning up in my face and secretly hating me. I told you, a man that's honest enough to tell you how much he hates you, or honest enough to tell you how he really feels, then that man would be a good friend if you can convert him. So it's kind of like that son that told his daddy, give me mine, I'm gone. And he got out there and he fell into bad shape. And he came to himself. He said, well, shoot, in my father's house, they got bread to spare, and I'm out here, got to eat what hogs eating. He said, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back and tell my daddy, I ain't worthy to be called your son, but make me as a servant. And his daddy said, oh no, you come on in here, son. And he told his brothers, hey, come on, let's make merry, your brother back home. And the brothers got mad. They told him, all these years I've been with you. Now the truth come out. So even when they was with Daddy, was they really with him? The most honest one of them was the one who went off and came back so you know, I learned a lot of things about life and people. That's why I said I would much rather an honest enemy than a dishonest friend, a hypocritical friend. You know, at least with your enemy, you know where you stand. He tell you, look at, I will do so and so to you. You step over there. That's where I draw the line with you. And okay, he's told you where you draw the line. Is that right? Well, ain't no sense getting mad at him. You know, that's the kind of man that you can reason with. But now here she want to justify. I mean, they knew. Look, let me tell you something. It's just like when before President Trump became president, he stood up there and read the snake to him. You can't claim you didn't know what he was about. They knew he had dealings with Russia. This ain't investigating what? That wasn't no revelation. Then they hear his son say his favorite city is Moscow. So what? Now you want to act like you did. He said, "Shut up, silly woman." You know that I was a snake when you took me in. That's what and he read it too. And he said, "Does that make sense?" I can appreciate him more and more. Not because I'm what you call sadistic, but at least with him, he is what he is, and he didn't care who don't like it. You know, and he know there's big people sitting up there just as phony as a $3 bill. Do you understand? And he tell him, "You get out of my face. You forgot I was there with you." Do you understand? And so, you know, he just, you know, it's that time. Everything and everybody telling the truth on themselves now. So, but just like the little lady here talking about we tried that. No, you didn't. This is where we tried it at and saw that it works.
He has lots to tell you. And so he's going to present you and get busy and tell you what we must do, what must now be done after the coming of God. I turn you over to the secretary. As I say unto you, in the name of Allah, Assalamu alaikum. I looked at myself a little coming in by marrying my grandson here. He was telling me. So I hope you don't chop my head off for this mighty crown I have.
You just pay attention there. There wasn't no bunch of other speakers up there and preachers and all this stuff pretending to agree when it was plain that they disagreed because they was all of different faiths. How in the world am I going to tell you I believe in unity, but yet I'm on the platform with a bunch of folks that disagrees with everything? I can work with my people, but I understand that there's not unity. I'm in unity with those who are in agreement with me and who bow down with me to the Word of God. Now, you think you have a choice in this. You're going to find out later. Yeah, you had a choice to believe or disbelieve in the one that Allah put here. And he told you my name. He said, Son of Man. So you can claim all that you want. But in the end, it's either you was a believer in me or you didn't. And it's going to show. And right now, stuff is going on inside of all of your bodies based on what's in your mind. I read it to you. I warned you. And you soon going to find out that taking the Word of God for a joke is going to be your fatal mistake. All right.
In the name of Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, and in the name of his true servant and last apostle, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Salam Alaikum. First of all, brothers and sisters, I would like to thank the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam for allowing me to attempt to represent them as the National Secretary. You know, the Bible says that the last messenger will have a government upon his shoulders. Right. Now this obviously must mean that the man has to be the foundation and the support for a new nation.
Actually, the Bible don't say that what about Elijah. The Bible, when it talks about a government on his shoulder, that's referring to me. As they who were supposed to be, following. The messenger knew that they were not, and he said it like this. He said, the nation is honeycombed with hypocrites. He said, but he also said that he would walk up into a mountain 40 miles high. When you eat something, you make it part of your body. And they can't eat rattlesnakes. Just to teach one man. And so if they was in the nation, they had to teach what the messenger said teach. And so he said that the nation is also honeycombed with hypocrites. And he also said the nation has not been born yet. He said we are laying the foundation for a new nation. That's what he said. And so as you think back, you notice you never hear any of those who were in the nation with me. You never hear them contradicting me and saying the messenger didn't say that or the messenger didn't say that. They know he said it. They were there, just like I was there. We may not have understood it at the time, but we sure know he said it. And so, remember, in that same verse where it says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder." Then it describes and tells you who this man is. It says, "And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." So that if he's going to be called the Mighty God, then before the coming of the great and dreadful day of the Mighty God, I will send you Elijah. For the Lord is God. That's what the book teaches you. And the messenger, he knew that. He knew that that son that Allah promised him, he promised that to all of the prophets. He said, "I'm going to give you a son." He said, and the messenger said, "If we swung that door back on its hinges to let the rest of the world in here, you wouldn't have standing room here." He said, "But," he said, "they've been used to ruling, and you have not." He said, "You could be easily cheated out of your turn to rule." And so he said, "So this is not for them. This is for the little black baby. Unto us a child is born." And he was there to give me what I would need to get me ready to be taught by Allah, all of them. For when you understand one prophet, then it's easy to understand all the rest of it, because they all speak the same language. I remember he said, Master Farad Muhammad, he never taught him anything and just plain. He said you always had to dig for the meaning. Well, all of the prophets was like that. That's what's meant when it says, did we not send death among them? Yeah. If we had made it plain, then the devil couldn't rule. In order for Adam to rule you, you had to be spiritually dead. And so Adam, he could trick you into doing evil because you didn't understand good. And so he was able to do his work for 6,000 years. But I'll get into that if some of them want to discuss it with me. I'll be more than happy to. But right now, I'm going to show you what unity looks like. You see? Now, you hear all of them saying one thing: all praise is due to Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There was just thousands of us sitting there. Unity with one man. He was our unity. You notice the nation was in unity until he passed. You see? Now watch this.
A look at the accomplishments of the government established by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is this man. As a foundation, we have Muhammad temples in every city of America. We have temples in Bermuda, Jamaica, Honduras, and even in England. Right. Educationally, we have Muhammad universities of Islam in 46 cities. This man is truly building the foundation for a nation.
You see all of those sisters dressed the same? That's unity. It's just like when I was in the Marine Corps. That was unity. I know what unity looks like. And that million-man march wasn't unity. You have to have understanding to appreciate unity. You got to be alive with understanding. The very nature of death is disunity. You notice when anything dies, it begins to come apart. You think it's swelling up. It ain't swelling up, it's coming apart. Everything alive is a testament to unity. Whether it's a plant or an animal or a man. If it's alive, it stays together. When it dies, it comes apart.
In transportation, we have a fleet of cross-country tractor trailers, the most modern. We have a fixed-base operation air aviation department in Gary, Indiana. Now we know that America also has many aircraft that, although excellent in design and suitable for use, they are grounded. We are already in contact with America to purchase some of these. Under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we are negotiating for the purchase of 2 or 3 cargo ships to carry across the ocean the various products purchased for our people in foreign countries. In fact, the first shipload of fish from the unpolluted waters around the South American country of Peru has already arrived in Mobile, Alabama.
You saw that fish? That's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was doing with some of the money we gave him. He was using it to build us up, to show us the power of unity. You still say that million-man march was unity? You don't know what you're talking about. And I notice you conveniently forget about what I'm showing you now. Because this ain't the first time I've shown them this.
It carries with it some 1,000 metric tons of fish, or roughly 2,200,000 pounds. The second ship is already on its way. This one will carry 1,200 metric tons. And brothers and sisters, under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, this will continue each month for the next year, at least. The only difference being that the poundage will increase.
I remember when we was selling that fish out there. I was one of the brothers on the fish crew, and I remember brother. What was that brother's name? I think his name was Robert 54. One of them, he made the song, and then three of the brothers got together and made the little fish jingle. And it says, "We're in your neighborhood with that fish today. Muhammad's on time brought it all the way. From Elijah to you, it's imported from Peru. It's the purest fish in town. Why don't you pick up 5 or 10 pounds? The best fish for you and me. Instead of whiting HNG, we're in your neighborhood." And we were serious about what we was doing. And it was so, to be black during the time of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the most prideful years. I'm not talking about fool's pride. I'm talking about pride in the ability that you found out that you had within yourself. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad wasn't making clones of himself. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was freeing the minds of young black men and women that we began to really believe that we could accomplish whatever we willed. And we began to do that. We had our own bakeries. I didn't say one bakery, we had bakeries. And I'm talking about large bakeries. We had a bakery that took up a whole corner out there on 77th and Avalon. And I drove the truck for that. And I blew up the motor in the truck because I had never really had no vehicle before. And then after I blew the motor, I put oil in there, thinking that maybe I could save it. And I was scared to tell the minister that I hadn't put no oil in the truck and blew it up. But anyway, that's what youngsters do. And that bothered me for a long time. But anyway, we had our own bakeries, we had our own supermarket. I remember when the minister said we wanted to purchase a supermarket. And it was right there on Florence and Figueroa. And wasn't that Florence and Figueroa? I didn't hear you. And he said we needed to raise $50,000 down. We raised that in one meeting. Everybody started digging. We came up with that money. We got that market. You just don't know how powerful you are if you would get in unity. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad put it like this. He said, look, 40 million black people. He said if we took out $1 a week, something we'd never miss, and put it in a fund, that would be $40 million a week that we could build ourselves up with, and you'd never miss that money. Why didn't you help? Why don't you help me like that now? You see I mean good for you. You didn't have no plan. I know you didn't have no plan. When I was looking around, I didn't see nobody with no plan here. Wasn't nobody doing that, doing what I'm doing. Then why not help me? I'd love to see all of you rich. But you're not going, you don't need no rich fools. done seen what happened to rich fools. They die of drug overdoses. They kill themselves with cocaine. With all them vices. The last thing you need is to be rich with all the vices you got. Your poverty is a blessing. You can't kill yourself so quick.
In order to be totally independent in this venture, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has ordered the purchase of warehouse and cold storage facilities there in Mobile, Alabama. Negotiations are already underway, and we expect to spend at least $1 million to prepare this facility for our imports. Now, we must remember that it hurts our enemies.
When did you ever hear Negroes standing up talking about spending $1 million on anything? I never heard that when I was going to church. Sure never seen them doing that kind of stuff, putting us to work with our money, establishing business and then flipping us the key. And saying, okay, now go ahead, black man, and go in there and run that. Who do that for you other than us? People come up to me all the time thinking that I own them businesses, and I don't own them businesses. Believers own them business. The one that's in there running it, that's who owns it. It's just like the American people. When you walk in the GM, the government don't own it. The government partners with them to make sure that whatever they need to help them be more productive and to create more tax base and to create more jobs for the people, the government, their job is to help that happen. How can you live in this country with this man? This man is one of the greatest builders and greatest civilizations that has ever existed on this planet. How could you live here and come out stupid? I tell you how. You don't pay attention to nothing. You pick up all of the bad habits, the vices, but you don't see the business and the good stuff. You'd rather be a slave to a smart man than to pay attention to him and become a smart man yourself. It's shameful. You sit around, like I was telling them this morning, you sit around here and you complain about the people shooting you down and murdering your people and everything, but you don't make no effort to get out from under that. Join with me. I'll get you out of that. No, but you got too much leprosy up there in your brain to listen to somebody that ain't white. You hate black just like the one who enslaved you. He put his mind in you and turned you against yourself. If that ain't so, what I just said, how come they ain't showing me that ain't so and getting this $20,000 I offer? Because if that's not the truth, then I just stood up here and told a lie. You go all through the schools of white people and somehow you think you came out a black man. No. You know, they got a saying, one of the poets, I don't forget who said it, but he said, to thine own self, be true. The worst lie you can tell is in the quiet of your mind, lie to yourself. When I accepted the fact that all I was a grafted white man, then I was able to start becoming a black man. Because I started to question all of my thoughts and all of my motivation for doing things. And a lot of it, I didn't like the answers that I was getting. The messenger said, he said to me, he said, you have to create love in your heart for yourself and your kind. He said we had to create it. That means it was non-existent. It didn't exist in us. Well, now I can truly say I have created love in my heart for myself and my people. That's why you can't produce nobody around here that can say that I mistreated them or that I've been anything to them but a brother. I had to force myself to be a brother, but I forced myself to be a brother. Wasn't about whether they appreciate it or not. It's about me trying to get myself in order. You ain't got no business hating your own people. Now, I'm going to tell you to stop doing that if I'm still doing it. So this is what unity looks like.
To see us in these broad fields. The messenger has taught us that the dragon will go behind the messenger to try to disrupt what has already been set up and to try to turn the people of these countries away from Muhammad. But I tell you, they will not be successful. We who love and follow this great man, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, will fight to the death. Hold on to what he has said. What he has gained for us, we cannot and will not give up. Now, I personally can bear witness to the love, to the honor, and respect that the people of the world have for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. I have traveled completely around the world as the National Secretary of the Nation of Islam. And everywhere that I have gone, the response to the messages that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had sent me with were tremendous. In Japan, in Africa, in the Middle East, in South America, they always respond positively to his program. The messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is moving to establish trade routes across the narrow strip of ocean between South America and Africa. He is also moving toward China. In fact, I will be traveling to China very soon. The trip has already been set. Brothers and sisters, this is why we need the help of every black man, woman, and child in the world of North America. The world of the black man has extended their arms to Muhammad, and we must be ready to grasp their hand. Here in Chicago, brothers and sisters, again under the divine leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have deposited $1 million to prove our intent in the purchase of the South Shore Country Club. Brothers and sisters, this is some 59.4 acres of land, which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad will use for uplifting projects, like universities and hospitals. You know, Christians have hospitals all around us, but we must build our own. By summertime, we expect to have a fleet of pleasure boats on the lake. We also will soon purchase a large yacht for movement along the Atlantic coast. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is going to build the south side of Chicago and make it beautiful for the black man, like the white man has made the north side of Chicago. Already, he has had constructed $1.5 million sales and office building, which the black contractor, Mr. Ernest Bush, has almost completed. But as soon as Mr. Bush turns the keys to this building over to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he will be told to break ground on the next one. Brothers and sisters, In our business enterprises during the past year, we moved toward $50 million in income. Which of course is only a beginning. We have only scratched the surface, because what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has in his head for us, we cannot imagine. This is only the beginning, brothers and sisters, and if we obey him and follow him and join with him, the black people in the hills of North America will soon have into that totally independent nation that our leader and teacher has been teaching us. In order to move right along, brothers and sisters, I would like to just read to you a list of some of the enterprises of the Nation of Islam. You know, this nation that they talk about that operates mom and pop shops. We'll show you exactly what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is truly doing. Salam restaurants, the Muslim import stores, the Muslim fish house, the Shabazz grocery store, the Shabazz bakery and coffee shop, Temple number 2 clothing store and office building, the new sales and office building on 78th Street, the Guarantee Bank and Trust Company, Progressive Land Developer, Good Foods Incorporated, which is meat, produce, and eggs, Chicago Land Packers, a national trucking system, an aviation department of Gary, Indiana, Muhammad Speaks newspaper plant, which is a full storage and warehouse, over 200 apartment units, not to speak of the single family dwellings that he has put his followers in. Farms in Michigan, farms in Georgia, farms in Alabama. Over 150 temples in North America, Bermuda, Jamaica, and Honduras. Over 46 Muhammad universities of Islam. In the planning stage, a 500-bed hospital, a new Islamic university, the Temple number 2 renovations, and the new university at the Temple number 2 on Stony Island Avenue. The Cottage Grove redevelopment plan, which runs from 78th Street to 87th Street on the east side of Chicago, east side of Cottage Grove, in the design phase. The Phoenix, Arizona development proposal, which is also in the design stage. Salam Snack Shop, Girl Supermarket, Shabazz Bakery, Shabazz Barbershop, Shabazz Restaurant, Capital Cleaners, National Clothing Factory, National Fence Factory, and again residential homes. This is what our leader and teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is leading us to.
Now, that's what unity looks like. That's what I'm trying to get you to join with me, and let's make it happen. This time, never to fall again. Don't tell me it didn't work. Now you can finish reading her that statement.
That was it.
See, so You know, I pity you that don't have intelligence enough to join with someone who can see. The reason you all in poverty all over this country is because all of the leadership that you are following is blind. What happens when the blind lead the blind? They stay in poverty. That's what the ditch is. So I want to give you a chance to express your whatever disagreement or whatever argument you may have against what I'm saying. I'm not here to continue you down the road of bigotry. I lead by example. If I tell you you should question other leaders and argue with them, I give you the opportunity to question and argue with me. What? Nobody got nothing they want to say. Okay. I'm you know, it's almost time to just do like Noah did. You know, I guess you see all these storms that's hitting one behind the other. Huh? It's only going to get worse. So I reckon now I will get to the theology of time, since ain't nobody got a problem with nothing I've said so far.
I have mentioned everything. And I report the following that this unrighteousness accident. But by nature, we are the this text, the Bible meaning, and when it says it will separate the goat from the sheep. It is goat and the sheep. We are talking about us and the righteousness. The right hand is the goat, and we and I are the sheep. So I want you to remember that.
Well, that's true. The goat and the sheep is what the messengers of God. There are many people. It's time for you to understand what you're reading in the scripture. That word "we" is a mighty small word that oftentimes confuses and trips people. I remember in the William Lynch letter, let me see if I can find that. Because, you know, the white man, he gave us one of y'all find y'all letter before I find mine. I got it right here. Got it right here. Now, in the this is what the slave master said about let's see here. Let me find it. Controlled language. Crossbreeding completed. For further severance from their original beginning, we must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the new nigger and the new mule, and institute a new language that involves the new life's work of both. You know, language is a particular institution. In other words, you know, most people, they hear that. Language is what we use to convey a particular meaning or to convey a particular thought. As you are taught in school, that a sentence is designated as the expression of one complete thought. Is that right? Okay. There are sentences. I'll show you an example. When Jesus was speaking, he said, "Yet a little while and you shall not see me, and again a little while you shall see me, because I go to the Father." And his disciples said, "What is this he saith? Yet a little while and we shall see him, and yet a little while and because he go to the Father." We cannot tell what he's saying. See, language is a particular, you know, as he said, it's this particular institution. You see, when you can't speak the language of someone, they don't have to worry about you competing with them. And so he went on to say, it leads to the heart of a people. The mouth speaks from the abundance of what? Yes. So language leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. You notice now, without saying it, he's telling you that language has levels of meaning. And what it means on one level may not be necessarily what that same word means on another level. Do you understand? Then he says, therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of another country, to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of a foreign culture. Well, how are cultures, how do cultures invade? They invade through language. You know, this is why, you know, in order to do away with a culture, you actually confuse the language of it, and then it'll fade out on its own. It's like people tried to take away the culture that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad brought, the new culture that he brought to us, the ex-slaves of America. They was trying to erase that. That's why they come here with, want to get you to speak in a different language now. Don't say the devil is a man. Don't say God is a man. Don't call Elijah Muhammad as they say, don't call him a messenger, or from and they try to get you to deny him. And if they can get you to deny him, they can get you to throw away what he brought you, and then they can keep ruling you. Because it was only the teachings, it's only through the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that we began to throw off the yoke of slavery. That's not a what you call unprovable statement. All you have to do is go back and find where black people, what we was doing before the Honorable Elijah Muhammad convinced us to follow him, and what we were doing after he convinced us to follow him. And you'll discover that it was him and what he was teaching us that was freeing us. Do you understand? And so, just like now, if it had not been for him, I wouldn't be standing here teaching you. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad is the one that raised me to this level of consciousness that I could now stand before the world and speak with authority. And when I say with authority, I mean, with understanding of what I'm speaking, and not just quoting what I heard somebody else say. I actually can have a conversation with you about what I teach. And I don't have to get angry because you ask me questions. Actually, I get happy when people ask me questions about what I teach. That way I get a chance to show them that I really know what I'm talking about. Since they're from Missouri. Then it says, for example, you take a slave. If you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets. Why? Because inevitably, you got a slave, he's serving your dinner and stuff, and y'all having conversations and whatnot. And, he wouldn't be your slave if he knew what you knew. So you didn't have to be careful. You didn't have to be scared to talk in front of him because he didn't know what you was talking about no way. But if you teach him to know what you're talking about, then you can't keep no secrets from him unless you don't talk around him. Do you understand? Now, you notice, but most people, after a while, they opt not to even talk to me. Because they know that I understand what they're saying. And I'll take it and use it against them. Because most of them are devils. Don't make no difference what color you are. The mind that's in you is the devil. Because that's who's been ruling for the past 6,000 years. Adam is the devil. That's the first Adam. The first mind that was perfected, that's the devil. You see? The natural mind. As in Adam, all died. Do they not see that we have sent death among them? That we have ordained death. Let me show you here. This is This is the 56th chapter of the Holy Quran. And look at that, the question that's being asked here. Let's start at the 57th verse. We have created you. Why do you not then accept? See you that which you emit? Is it you that created? Or are we the creators? We have ordained death among you, and we are not to be overcome. You notice, I like the way it's put there, because you hear people all the time talking about they are an ordained minister. Huh? Ordained by who? By white people, by the schools of this world, by the ruler of this world, who was ordained by God to have dominion over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the face of the earth. Then we ordained death among you. As in Adam, all what? By one man, sin entered into the world, and death by sin. But we ordained death. What did it say right there? We have ordained death among you. Because we declared that there was a day that everyone would be resurrected. Huh? You would have to return to the Lord and to the truth. And then everybody would be judged for how you acted when you had a choice between righteousness and the wickedness that you had got used to practicing. So, but now let's get back to this language here. He said, for example, you take a slave, if you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave. For you can't fool him any longer. And being a fool is one of the basic ingredients of the incidents to the maintenance of the slavery system. You got to make them, you notice the scripture says foolishness is bound up in the bosom of who? Of a child. But the rod of correction will drive it far from him, right? Okay. Then there's no accident that the white man kept us from learning and made it against the law to teach us to read. See, if you know how to read, if you can learn how to read, you can actually educate yourself to certain things. You know, so so he kept us out of that, and then he was able to just walk around calling us, "Hey boy, come over here and do so and so." Rather than say, "Hey fool," he just said, "Hey boy, hey girl." Foolishness is bound up in boys and girls, huh? And being a fool is what a slave, that's what he has to be in order to accept slavery. Then, say, for example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops. Do you understand? And, that's the thing. That's the way children are. Children think that when you say, look, we have to do our homework, and it's not our homework, it's their homework. You understand? And we have to spend our money on so-and-so when it's not their money. It's not the slave's money, it's your money. Do you understand? And so they learn to use words and give them meaning that actually is false meaning to the ignorant mind, so that the ignorant mind will stay ignorant. And, once the slave sees himself as your property, then he relates to you and him as belonging together. Do you understand? And that, so, it says, and the slave system would break down, for he would relate on the basis of what our crops really meant. So you have to be careful in setting up the new language. For the slave would soon be in your house talking to you as man to man. And that is a death blow to our economic system. And this is that's basically what slavery was. It was a means of producing goods and services that they could sell on the market cheaper than most people and get rich, because they didn't have to pay their labor. Do you understand? And so they always looking, even now in capitalism, they always looking for cheap labor or slave labor, because then they can produce merchandise. And where people in countries like America pay good salaries to their workers, they have to sell their merchandise for more than someone who's getting cheap or slave labor. Do you understand? So we, just like when you heard David say that we are his people, and he said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Huh? Let's go there and read that. The 23rd Psalm. He said, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Now, when you couple that with the 100th Psalm, then you understand that what you thought about we, it don't mean what you think it means. It says, make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all you lands. Serve the Lord with gladness, and come before his presence with singing. Know ye that the Lord, he is God. It is he that hath made us what we are, and not we ourselves. We are his people, and the sheep of his pasture. And how did he send them forth? As sheep in the midst of what? Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are what? Who was it trying to get Jesus murdered? It was the false prophets. They the ones that got together and schemed on getting him murdered. wolves eating up the people. Huh? And so when David said, the Lord is my shepherd, he knew what he was talking about, because he is a sheep. All of the messengers of God were sheep. And they were on the right hand. Like the right hand part of your brain is the side of spirituality. And you know, do you know why the body is such that the right part of your brain controls the left side of your body, and the left side controls the right side? That's because you always want, light. It's like circuits. You want them to travel the fastest course, or fastest distance. The shortest distance between any 2 points is a straight line. Do you understand? So it makes an X across your body, right? Yeah. Keeps it in a straight line. And so there's a whole lot of things that we learn from listening to the current ruler. You see? So the messengers of God, they were the sheep, and they on the right, and the goats, the devil, he's on the left. Huh? Yeah, he controlled the natural things, and the prophets control the spiritual things. The two are now made one in me. I teach by mixing the two, so that yes, we can be spiritual beings, but we also can build beautiful structures, and we can make our surroundings beautiful without worshiping that stuff. Do you understand? You know, most people in this world, they love stuff so much they'll kill you over stuff. That's not what we do. We share. We see somebody that don't have what we have, we try to fix it where they can have it too. Love your neighbor as yourself. So let's go back to the theology of time.
Oh, that you are not the good. It is the right man that is the good. Remember at all times that you are not no brother with them. Remember that. When that he made them out of the essence of evil. And not out of the essence of good.
As he said, when Yaqub made them, he did not make them out of the essence of good. He made them out of the essence of evil. The essence is just another way of saying the knowledge. The knowledge that forms you, and the motivation that you have, that was created in you by the knowledge that went into you. You can change a person by changing the knowledge that you give them. If a man does not want to be what you call a common laborer, what does he do? He goes to school and builds up a mind inside of him that is a professional mind, and he becomes a contractor, or he becomes something else because he thinks something else. Do you understand? That's why we are called beings. We are as we think. The state of the being is determined by the state of the mind that's in the being. Do you understand? Even well, you notice there's no argument about the Holy Bible and the Holy Quran being superior from a superior mind, because people don't understand it. And yet, it is reprinted in civilizations where they don't even live by those books. But yet, they know that those books are so powerful, full of so much power, that those books attract. Just the words in them, just said the way that just repeating what the prophet said, even when you don't understand it attracts people, doesn't it? It gives you power over people. Okay. So, the Holy Scriptures are superior to all other books. There are no other books that can do what the Holy Scriptures can do. In the hands of an ignorant man, you take an engineering book, a medical book, and start reading it to people, and it don't give you no power over nobody. It don't have that kind of attraction for people. But the Holy Scriptures, you know, when you read them, you have to marvel over them. Even though you may not understand them all, it's just something about them that commands respect. And so they are designed to manifest the Supreme Being. You see? For the Holy Quran says that, you know, the revelation of the book, there's no doubt in it. If you're given the revelation of it, there ain't no doubt about who you are. It's from the Lord of the worlds. Is that right? Yeah, because everybody else done tried and couldn't. So all praises due to Allah. So,
this is what we have been talking on all the while. We have been talking about the evil and the good nature. You are the good nature.
you notice how he put it. He said, we have been talking on the evil world and the good nation. Let's back that up a minute.
They are talking about the evil and the good nature. You are the good nature, and they are the evil.
We have been talking about the evil race and the good nation. Why? Because Adam is a race of people. God called their name Adam. You see? And they have a beginning, a time to begin, and a time to end. They are dominion over everybody. And that's what a race also signifies, that it have a beginning and an end. Do you understand? And so we made them so that we could produce a righteous nation. You see? And let's see here. Much like a scientist, he makes a culture of a disease so that he could produce a cure, antigens, and pretty soon an antidote for that same disease.
They are in the world. Something kinds of marriage. It's just like when I was married God. Because they were created so. I read a movie about the Bible teaches you that.
Yes. It said marrying them is like marrying fire. They were created for fire, for the fire of wickedness. Most the book says in Isaiah, it said, for wickedness burneth as the what? As the fire. And they were created for wickedness. And so they was created for fire in symbolic language. And so that's why you notice the things that they produce, you know, wind up destroying you, like fire will do. He created, he thought up alcohol to drink. The Native American called it firewater. And you notice you can get ice cold, or they say on the rocks, 151, or vodka, or any of those alcoholic beverages. And even though it's real cold, and burn your throat as it's going down. Is that right? So because it's fire. And that's a warning to you. Why would you drink something that's burning on the way down? You smoke cigarettes. They choke you when you first try to inhale them. You choke on them. Why would you want to keep on doing that when you choke and your body is telling you it ain't good for you? But you keep on forcing yourself and your body build up a resistance, and then it accept what you did to it. Even though you're killing it, it's accepting it because the flesh is weak. It have to obey whatever mind is in charge of it. So.
And the one who knows the Father. And we were created good, and we are now removing from us that which is no good. And all that, we and you can remain together and do good. Live in unity.
Love and unity. That's right. Jesus prayed for that. He said, Father, this is in the book of John, around the 16th chapter. The 16th or the 17th chapter. He said, in the 9th verse, he said, I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me. For they are thine, and all mine are thine, and all of thine are mine. And I am glorified in them. And now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to thee. Holy Father, keep through thine own name those whom thou hast given me, that they may be one as we are. That's why I don't let nobody else teach you. I teach you myself. That way your understanding and my understanding is one. Do you understand? Yeah. That's what makes us one. Is that you agree with me, and I agree with you to agree with me. Do you understand? We are one. And so I'm keeping you through the Word of God, my own name, as I am the Word made flesh. So I'm keeping you through my own name, giving you the Word of God, which makes us one.
Look alike, act alike, and then yet cannot agree that we are one. We are one. Our new brothers, when I turn the microwave to my minister, to me, he said, I don't know nothing about no Islam. What do you know about Christianity?
Well, that's something that our people say too. When you try to get them united, I don't know nothing about no Islam, and he's right. What do you know about Christianity? You don't know nothing about Christianity. If you knew something about it, you wouldn't be trying to be no Christian. You don't hear the authors of Christianity coming in here arguing with me, because they know Christianity didn't come from God. It come from white people. And he's right to call the Pope the father of the church, because they are actually the father of the religion called Christianity. They authored that religion. No prophet brought a religion called Christianity, and no prophet brought a religion called Judaism. All of the prophets brought one religion. That religion is Islam. Entire submission to the will of God. That's what all of the prophets taught you.
This is the thing that we must ask. If we are not this, what are we? If you're not that, what are we? This is answer. We are on that. Because you don't know that. But I said to see I live that amount with the people who are. And the people who that right people are and you don't
As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, he was raised up among us. He said he was raised up to teach me who I am and to teach me who the white people are that I've been bound down to. You notice, I don't try to use the teachings like a sledgehammer. You don't mock people for being what they was made. I'm not mocking white people by calling them the devil. I'm telling the truth on them. And you know, if you understand who the devil is, you know that he was only second to God. And so he held you under. Matter of fact, got you to hold yourself down. After he take the chains off of you, you still there begging him to give you some work.
So you want to take a Skype call?
Do I want to take a Skype call? Yes, I would much rather hear from somebody who hate me than be false love. Yes, caller.
Oh, okay. Hello, son of man.
How are you?
Very, very good on this fine day. Okay, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do you think there should be Sharia law in America?
No, I don't think there should be forced religion on anybody.
Do you think in Arab majority countries there should be Sharia law?
No, that's not Islam. You know, you cannot make. That's why I told everybody that America is the closest thing to Islam. Before what we presented to you, America was more of an Islamic nation than any other nation on earth. I mean, in the Constitution of America, it specifically says, Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof. That's right out of the Holy Quran. It says there is no compulsion in religion.
Yeah, but okay. Do you think, like in the Middle East and everything, right?
Yes, sir.
There should be reform on Islam.
Yes, sir. There should be reform, but it should be reform not by making laws, but by teaching people the true understanding of the Holy Scriptures, and not just teaching from the Holy Quran. For the Holy Quran is not the only scripture.
Yeah. What about London? Do you think that, like in the Europe, what do you think about the crisis there?
I think the crisis that's going on all over the earth manifests one thing, is that the leadership all over the earth don't know what they're doing. Otherwise, their people would have peace.
Yeah, I feel like everyone's too afraid to address the main problem.
Yeah, man.
They don't want to be seen as hateful.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, anytime someone accuses you of being hateful simply because you told them the truth, you're not the one with the problem. They are.
Yeah, for sure. And it also bothers me when people say they're like Islamists and stuff, but then they identify with radical Islam groups.
Well, know this. When you look up the definition of Islam, I don't know if you've ever looked it up, but if you look up the definition of Islam, you will know that that term does not fit. There's no such thing as radical Islam. You are either one who submits to God, for that's what Islam means. It means entire submission to the will of God. There's nothing you can't be a radical that you either submit to God or you don't.
Well, I mean, like the people that subscribe to Sharia law and don't mind bombings.
Well, that's just call them terrorists. That's all they are.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't call the Ku Klux Klan Christians, because I know that's not in the teachings of Christianity. What they doing is not the teachings of Christianity. And so, even they stopped calling themselves Christian Knights of the Ku Klux Klan. They just call themselves Ku Klux Klan. Okay, well, those people who running around here trying to murder others in the name of serving God, no, God said, thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
He didn't change that. I never saw where he took that back.
Mm.
So, no, if I don't agree with you, I'm not going to kill you. No, I'm going to just leave you alone.
Well, you have a lovely day. Go burn some niggers now.
No, I ain't going to do that either. I'm going to burn up the lie that they believe in. But I'm not going to, now, even with him, maybe he got a problem with us. But, you're never going to solve problems by being afraid to talk to people, even that hate you. You may find that those who hate you, they may change that if they learn that you are not what they thought you were. Do you understand? You see? So, no, I'm not interested in setting up laws to make people be righteous. Who you going to get to enforce them? Because ain't nobody righteous. The book said there's none righteous. No, not one. So how can you set up laws to make people righteous when the very people who you'd have to get to enforce the law, they ain't righteous? And so, no, we don't need that. What you need is to teach the truth and let those who accept the truth, as the book says, let all them that name the name of Christ depart from iniquity. And God will be the final judge, as it is written. This is the day of judgment. I'm giving everybody a chance to be whatever it is they're going to be. When Allah gets fed up with it, he will do just like he got with Noah and Lot. He said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be also in the days when the Son of Man is revealed. Likewise, as it was in the days of Lot. So, at this set time, then Allah will save the righteous and destroy those who he's displeased with. So that this, I'm not going to destroy nobody. I'm not here to destroy nobody. I'm here to save people. That's why I thought about even the young man that was calling me nigger, and all that stuff. And, I can get over that. It's I'm supposed to be here to try to save people. So that's what I'm gonna do. Like I said, I'm a human being. I have feelings, but I have to put my feelings in my pocket. That's what we used to say when people say, you hurt my feelings. Say, well, you better put your feelings in your pocket. That's what my brother used to say, Sonny. And even that, I learned that what that meant. Some things have nothing to do with feelings. It has to do with you either get it done or don't get it done. If the truth hurts your feelings, how can I say, well, that don't apply to me. So if he called me nigga, that don't. You don't get mad if somebody call you Johnny or something that ain't your name. Then why you get mad if somebody call you nigga? Unless maybe it may be a little too close to home, huh? So anyway, I remembers my job. I remember what's written. The Son of Man came to seek and to save. So if the devil come in being the devil, whose fault is that? The messenger told me it's my fault. He said, don't blame them for what by nature you put in them. Blame yourself for putting it in. Of course, now I could say the same thing back to them. You call this the black man, nigger, nigger, nigger. But you made him a nigger. A stingy, selfish, disrespectful person. That's what niggard is. Niggard. Niggard. When he stingy, selfish, disrespectful, nasty disposition. You know. And that's what we was made by slavery and the slave masters. Now that we know we was made that, who's going to unmake us? We have to remake ourselves. So the Holy Scriptures is the tools. As the messenger said to me, he said, the right cure for the disease in our hearts is the Spirit of Allah, the Word of Allah, the Word of God. So the minute you start talking about making the Word of God the law to people who are just now getting it, then you barking up the wrong tree. You can't compel people to be righteous. Even the devil knows you can't legislate morality. You can't legislate morals and righteousness. You can't legislate love. No. That's something that people must cultivate within themselves. Why do you think that the word cultivate and culture start with the same prefix? You know, people that you find that have what you call a cultured lifestyle, it's because they have cultivated that in their own selves by practice. You see? You know, you can't inherit your father's goodness. You cannot inherit your mother's decency and good qualities and all of that. No, every human being has to be taught and receive it and practice it in order to become it. Do you understand? So, you know, as I was telling you, you know, when people disagree with you, then they give you a chance to practice what you say you believe in. That don't just go for you, that go for me too. You know, maybe Allah was testing me through that young man who was, you know, maybe I need to listen to my own self more and remember what I'm supposed to be here for. It ain't always other people's fault when you act a fool, because they ain't your keeper. You got a mind inside of you that's supposed to keep you. Then if somebody can make you act a fool, at least what you claim make you act a fool, no, they didn't make you act a fool. They showed you that you still had it in you to do so. Do you understand? And so you got a lot more work to do. We got work to do on ourselves. Me, you, and everybody. So when you can see you need work on yourself, it make you have more patience with other people, especially if you have my job, which is to judge people. So, you know, everybody that acts foolish ain't necessarily foolish. A wise man can act a fool, but a fool can't act no wise man. You see? So Just like the young man just now, he asked some questions that show you that he's been paying attention to what's going on in the world. Yeah. Even when he said go on and burn some niggas. Well, I think, there's much to be said for that. So, that's what I'm here to do. Burn up the mind of the Negro and leave the mind of the black man intact. I don't want you to be a slave no more. I want you to be a free man. You cannot be a free man with the characteristics of a slave. Hating yourself and disrespecting your own people. Yeah, we need to burn that up. We need to get rid of all uncleanness inside of us. So yes. If you ever want to know what's some of the things you need to fix, you need to talk to people who don't like you. They won't bite their tongue to keep from hurting your feelings. They'll just tell you what's wrong with you. And if you be honest, even if they lie, you'll know that it's not true. But if you take a look and they tell you this is wrong with you or that's wrong with you, if it's the truth, then ain't no sense in getting mad at them. Correct yourself. So
opening the more shocking paragraph of this day. But you must get away from this. The black man is the God of the earth. He is the creator.
Anyone that says that the black man is not the God of the earth, well then think for a minute. What man was before the black man? Who was the word first uttered by? The first man. When you understand that man means to take charge, well, who had charge of the earth before us? Even in history, they tell you that Columbus discovered America, but it was people already here, black people. Everywhere you go on the earth, you find that the black man is either there or he been there. You don't call us the aboriginal man and then don't recognize that we are actually the one that everybody else came from. So everybody else is in our image after our likeness. If one man is the image of God, well then God is the original man. Before you get an image, you need an original. Who was it that said, let us make man in our image after our likeness? And why didn't nobody ask, well, what is man? What is that? What are you talking about? Well, that was man talking. Is that right? Yes. But it didn't say And man said, let us make man in our image. He said, and God said, let us make man in our image. Is that right? So we didn't call our rulers presidents, we call them God. They call theirs president. Do you understand? So, and we even call our ruler king. God is the king. You see? And, O Allah, thou art the king. I know of no God but thee. Huh? So the book said, know ye that the Lord, he is God. That's right. And so it's much that we have to learn. And once you know that man is God, then you start conducting yourself like godly, in a godly manner. You don't accuse a man of being ungodly if he's not God. Every member of your body is you. And which member of your body is not you? Your finger, that's part of you. If the head of every man is Christ and the head of Christ is God, then the head of every man is God. But every man is a part of God. Huh? Well, which one is God? The best knower. The one that can talk to everybody else, no matter where their head is at, he can talk to them. That's me. You see? You know, and I'll tell you something else. I care about all human beings. If I can help them, I'm going to help them. You know, if you cannot help a person, you ought to just leave them alone. Especially if they are no threat to you. Now, if people aggress on you, you have to defend yourself. But don't you be the aggressor. You don't be around here putting out no reward for somebody because they said something you didn't like. Like that foolish stuff about a fatwa on that man Salman Rushdie or whatever, a bounty on him for saying something hateful about the Holy Quran. So what? Did that change anything in the Quran because he said something hateful about it? If a man want to burn up the Holy Quran that he bought, what business is that of yours? That's the one thing that you look at the Supreme Court made a ruling that if a person want to burn an American flag, they have the freedom to do so. To show you that their flag is more than just a symbol. It's not something that says that it waves over free men and when. What, you making a man the servant of that cloth? That flag is just a symbol that represents something greater. You know, if a man tell me he gonna burn up all the Qurans he can get his hands on, if I had a printing company, I'd be printing them and selling them to him. Until you get enough money to do what you want to do. Let him finance things for you. If he's willing to spend his money and burn it up, that's his business. The flag maker, if man want to burn flags, make him some flags to burn. Let him go. Keep selling them to him. Until he realized that's like trying to say you're gonna get rid of all the oranges. And every time trees produce orange, you start gathering them all up and everything. That don't mean nothing to the orange grove, man. Do what you want with the oranges after you done bought them from him. Do what you please with what you paid for. Do you understand? You know, I don't worship these books. I worship Allah who revealed these books. I don't worship the prophets. I worship the God who sent the prophets. As the messenger taught me, he said, I'm not trying to get you to love and worship me. He said, I'm trying to get you to love and worship him whom I preached to you. He knew I would catch it. He was preaching the truth to me. That's what he wanted me to worship. I worship the truth. Not the flesh that brought it. Mm-hmm. So, my God is the truth. And since I'm the only one who knows the truth, then that makes me the God over everybody else. That's what the messenger told you. He said the black man's God is truth. He was created from truth. He was not made from falsehood. He was created from truth because his God was truth, making him truth for us all. That's why Jesus called me the Spirit of truth, the mind of truth. You see? The same thing. I have a mind that corrects itself. Like conversations I have with people, whether good or bad, I still think over them while I'm doing other things during the day, and I find my fault. Wherever I'm at fault, I try to correct that. You know, when you washing something, you have to look for the spots and stuff in it if you're trying to get it clean. When you're washing your own self up, you should look for the fault in yourself and try to correct it. Jesus said, thou hypocrite, remove first the beam out of your own eye. You'll notice when you go to the eye doctor and they have that little light beam and they shining in your eye, you can't see nothing. They looking at your pupil dilating and looking at the inside of your eye through that little hole called the pupil. But you got to get that out your eye before you can, you know. Likewise, when you look into the Holy Scriptures, to you, that's like looking into the sun. It wasn't made for you to look into. It was made for you to wait. When you can't understand something, then if you give Allah credit, if you believe God is, and you pick up a book that you say God sent, and you can't understand it, well, then your common sense should tell you it must not have been meant for me. It did say wait on the Lord, so I guess I better wait on the Lord. Huh? So, you can't understand the book, but you understand me perfectly. And all I'm doing is speaking with the words from the book. So, the book was made for me, and I was made for you. Do you understand? Okay. So. Now, anyone? It's almost 11 o'clock. Do anyone have something else they want to discuss with me? You know, it's open. The conference room is open. You can unmute your phone. Well, I guess everybody's satisfied. I'll let you hear the messenger a little more.
I don't care how you can mistreat it. Still, was started with a black man, and he is the one who created this earth, and God taking it over. This is our earth.
As he said, this is our earth. When you look at you call the black man aboriginal, Asiatic black original man. We are the ones who called the earth by that name, Asia. And when you look it up, it means earth. And we are the Asiatic, meaning wherever we go on this earth, we are at home. You can't assign one part of the earth to us. The whole thing belongs to us. The earth is the Lord's, the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. You'll see why. You're about to find out why. You're finding out why the earth is said to belong to the Lord. You see the forces of nature now are cooperating with me. Even the insects, everything. So you would do well to submit. While the offer of salvation is still good. For after salvation comes damnation. Okay. So I just want you to remember these things.
Thank you. When you hear that people like that come out with moon and stars on our earth, you never see that before. You didn't never do.
No, you didn't ever see no people like us come out with the moon and star on our head and on our shoulders and whatnot. You used to see that. No, the mere fact that we now can do these things. Look at that flag on the front of my podium now. Even though it's new to you, it looks like it's been here all the time, because it has. And I don't do things that I can't explain. It's it's just complete the way I fixed it there. The black in there. Yes, you could get out of starlight. But when you get back into where there ain't no stars, no sun, no moon, that's ours too, and it's in our flag. The star is a symbol for justice because it justifies itself for being there if it ain't no planets circulating around it. Because if that star wasn't there, it'd be dark. So it's justified to be there to light up that area of space that would have been dark otherwise. The star is a symbol for justice. The moon, even though blasted away from the earth, it gets sunlight equal to the earth. It's equality. And the sun, it shines on the just as well as the unjust. That's right. You notice the Holy Bible have been in the hands of sinful men, shining on the unjust. And yet, now that I'm here to show you how powerful the Word of God is, even though you've been revising it and messing with it and everything, it's being made clear and purified. I'm purifying it right in your presence. And it ain't nothing you can do but listen and just say, well, he's right. There's no more arguments. I have the true religion. I'm here with the guidance. That's what Mahdi means. A rightly guided one. I am the rightly guided one. I don't give answers that you can argue with. When I give an answer, it's a fact. And I offer proof of my answers. It's like when I said that America was the most closest nation to being an Islamic nation than any other nation on earth. The Holy Quran says that. The Holy Quran says those nearest to the believers or prophets in faith are those who say we are Christian. Those who are nearest in friendship to the prophets. You remember Jesus said, you are my friend if you do whatsoever I command you? Well, those nearest in friendship to the prophets are those who say we are Christian. So I know what I'm saying. And anybody want to argue that, I can show it to them. That's why you find people leave those countries that claim that they are Muslim countries and they convert to Christianity because they see more Islamic practice in what is called Christianity than they do in that which they call Sunni or Shiite Islam. So, you know, I'm not here to do anything but make the truth plain. And you can choose to accept it or not. So, if it pleases Allah, I'll talk with you again tomorrow at prayer service and again Sunday. Until then, may Allah bless us all and keep us safe and in our right minds. May Allah's Salaam Alaikum.
Your conference recording has stopped. Is no longer being recorded. Goodbye.